I'd call it an opportunity. It's an opportunity to rethink a lot of what we do in the classroom and outside the classroom. It's really an opportunity to think very critically about what are the best ways to use all of the available resources. Faculty time is a resource, student time is a resource, digital instruction, digital tools provide a resource. We're at a point in the history of education where digital tools have matured to a state where they can really start to impact some of our fundamental choices about how we organize classes and classrooms, how we organize educational experiences outside the classroom. What's really exciting about digital instruction at Michigan is we're really starting to do that thinking. And I think we're going to see some really big changes in the way we organize all of our educational experiences by taking the best possible use of what digital technologies can do for us. Digital technology and digital teaching systems really can support what we do at the University of Michigan, can really support what we do in engaged education. When we look at digital tools at the University of Michigan, we don't say, here's a digital tool, let's use it somewhere. We really start with teaching challenges and say, okay, how can we develop tools or find digital tools that could help us address that teaching challenge? Digital instructional tools let us do all kinds of things, from providing a way to deliver sort of straightforward knowledge content that really doesn't require a faculty member to stand in front of a board and share this. If a student can learn that material separately in a different setting, and then spend time with the faculty member working on really challenging, interesting problems where the faculty member can actually really get in and help the student think through a difficulty or a conceptual barrier, that's a much better use of faculty time than simply the delivery of straightforward content. And so that's one example of where a digital tool can really help us solve a teaching challenge. The teaching challenge is, how do we get faculty to spend more one-on-one time with the highest impact kinds of educational work with a student? How do we get that faculty member challenging the student? How do we get the student working on a really hard problem, but in a way where they can get access to a faculty member to help guide them through it? So that ability of digital tools to make more effective use of time is really important. Another great example of the use of digital instructional technology is simulation. And so the ability to show a simulation in a classroom, instead of trying to do a drawing or a sketch which is static, but the ability to show something that is time-based, process-based through a simulation, has huge value. There are many things that are best understood by seeing them in sequence, by seeing the reaction of a system to an input. Those things can be done in a classroom using simulation tools, using video, and there's really no substitute for that, other than sometimes you can go into the laboratory and do the experiment instead of the simulation. But that's a much harder resource challenge. It makes sense sometimes to do the simulation, and there are things you just can't do in the laboratory. So the interaction of a coronal mass ejection with the magnetic field of the Earth, we can show this in simulation. We can't show it any other way. And being able to show that is a huge learning opportunity for students. And so that's one example of where digital instruction can really make a big difference and do something we can't do in any other way. So the University of Michigan is approaching its third century. We'll have a bicentennial in 2017, and then we will be in the third century of existence as an educational institution. That's pretty rare. There are very few public institutions, very few in the United States, that have been around for 200 years. As we go into the third century of the University of Michigan, we're going to, I think, really see some changes in the way we think about educating students. We're going to see some changes in the way we engage students. The importance of the formal classroom experience, students sitting in rows and in front of faculty members such as myself talking, I think we're going to see a big shift in that. We're going to see a lot more students engaging with each other. We're going to see a lot more student-directed learning. We're going to see a lot more students working in teams. We're going to see faculty really being able to provide students with important educational environments by giving them challenging problems to work on, by giving them the tools and the resources to help attack those problems. And I think we'll see a much deeper learning because of that. This is endless research that shows active, engaged learning leads to much deeper learning and retention than other modes of transmission of knowledge. And so I think we're going to see a real change at the University of Michigan in the third century to one where we have very student-centered learning, where faculty are really excited and engaged in this much richer mode of interaction with students than the simple delivery of content through speaking or standing in front of a blackboard. It's going to be fun.